This is a quick recording of how to add gray marker to our loft drawing. So I have my under drawing that I use the new grid for, and I'm going to go ahead and show you a technique how to add marker onto your tracing paper. Now I think this looks better on marker paper, but I unfortunately don't have any, so I'm going to show you the technique how to use markers. So just so you know, markers on tracing paper, anything, I don't know, below 30%, you won't even see show up on the tracing paper. So for today's assignment, I'm using 50% gray for the majority of the gray work. And then I will blend that with a 30. And then for more details, I will use 80%. So these are the markers I have. These are the markers I'm using. And then I will use the Sharpie for fine lines and the Papermate Flare for our punch lines. I'm going to do this as quickly as possible as I'm running out of space on my phone. And what I did to kind of speed up the process is I just secured a straight edge to my drawing. So it'll go along with me. But I placed that there so that it's going to be a lot easier for me to do my straight edge. It's just going to be a lot quicker, and then I can get this out to you so that you can see my work. So here is the trick. I find it's easier to apply the marker first. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the marker first. I'm going to use the 50% gray. And I'm just going to use this as a guide, and I'm going to place this above me in the drawing. And I'm just going to go in and add some of this grayscale. And then if you want, I'm going to use the wide tip, the wide side, just to add in some grayscale. And then if you like these kind of more exaggerated marks, then you can use the fine point side of the marker. So I'm going in and I'm going to add, this is the fireplace. I'm going to add some 50. If you don't like hard edges, you can go ahead and blend that in with a 30. And then for a little more depth, go ahead and do some 80%. So there's 80%. And then I can blend that. We've done this before, blend that. Right now I'm just going in with the 50 just to save time. If you would like yours to be more blended, then go ahead, go like I did here, go back in with the 30. I'm just quickly going in with a 50, and I think this is going to look really good. The light's coming from this window. I'm excited to show you this technique, and we do this in color. If you take INT 230, if you take that class, visual presentation, I kind of developed this technique I go online quite a bit, and I just take a look at styles that I like, and I try to figure out how they do it. And so I developed this technique using tracing paper with our INT 230 class. So I hope you join us and take that class sometime and learn a little more about marker work. I want it to be a little darker underneath, right? I want it darker underneath the table. You can use your straight edge and put some 50 so that there is some shadow for the rug. Look at it, it's just looking great. What a great effect. On Thursday, we're going to go ahead and just show you quickly how to do this in Photoshop. It's a very similar look. We'll do it in Photoshop. But if you don't want to use Photoshop and you don't have access to a computer, this is just great. Doing quick drawings on tracing paper. Also, the contractor that I worked with over the years is a skilled illustrator, and he works on tracing paper quite a bit. So if something's too dark, you can blend it in and play with that. If that's gray, then this side's going to be gray. Blend with something softer. You can saturate the paper too much, so just be really loose with this. Right, there's gonna be some shadow under the table, on the carpet. I placed a little here, maybe this wall. Great look. Just going to put, what you're looking at here are just recessed ceiling, like fluorescents, but probably more like LED these days. So I'm just putting a bit of color in there. To show those lights. If this is the window, then the wall around the window will be dark because it receives, light from that window. So I didn't have a lot of markers. I don't have a 70, but if you did have a 70, so this is 50, I mean, you could go in and add some texture. Some of those. You can go over some of the edges, right? So just take a look at this. Remember, we learned that technique of going over the edges. Makes for a looser drawing, so if you want to do some of those. And the nice thing about the markers is that you can build that up. You could be a little more brave with that. So no pencils, okay? No pencils this time. It has to be done in pen and ink marker or in Photoshop. Okay, so next I'm going to quickly draw in the vertical lines, and you can see how much quicker this is going to be for me when I have a straight edge. And you're going to do a better job than me. I'm trying to get a video done in 20 minutes, so it challenges me to go very quickly. For the books are going to be basically a series of vertical lines, so I'll do that in a bit. And you're just making the suggestion of the book, right? Don't spend time, drawing like this is T.S. Eliot or something. Don't write things on that. Just make the suggestion of books. Here is the window, right? There's the window. Then the window goes back in perspective. Piece of art, fireplace. The fireplace recesses back, and so you see where it recesses back, as you see where the display for the wood goes back. Art, fireplace. Art should have some thickness. So I was able just to quickly put all those in. And so I'm going to go back now in with the fine, this thing, Sharpie Ultra Fine. I'm going to go ahead and complete the drawing. And what you're going to find is that I'm going to then go back with the Papermate Flare and do some punch lines. So I'm going to go fine first, and then I'm going to go back through and punch, so you can watch me do that. So let's finish this off. When you have a good underdrawing, you can do the nice professional gap. You can go over edges. This isn't a nice ink triangle. It has a straight edge instead of a beveled edge, which is nice for inking. So not always great for inking. So I'm going to try to I'm running out of time a little bit, so I'm just going to try to speed this up. Don't worry, I'm not going to worry about being too exact, but you should. Here's my edges of my bookshelves, the fronts of the bookshelves. The bookshelves would also go back in perspective. In this case, go back to the vanishing point, and you're going to see a little bit just here on the top. But it's going to be covered up with books, so we don't have to show the depth like we do here. Let's just draw a bunch of vertical lines quickly to represent books. See the tops of the books. If you want to make them different sizes, you can make them different sizes. Do some hit-go hits, leave some professional gaps. Your grid doesn't have to be perfect. Looks a little more professional if it's not. So my Sharpie is having a little bit of hard time. You can see it's starting to run out by the end of the semester. They had a good run. And I'm just going to finish the chair, and then I'll go through with some punch lines. I don't like not having my vanishing points nearby because it's actually easier to trace even when you have your vanishing points rather than relying on your eye. So this goes back to the left vanishing point, right? So here's the window, it goes back. This goes to the right vanishing point. And then you'll see just a top bit of that. So there's what it looks like just going back. And then if you want to go and just add some quick double lines, that can indicate that there's a frame on the window, right? That's holding the glass. There's your window, there's your art. The last thing you're going to do is some punch. So here's what just makes your project look finished. So we want the coffee table, that edge of the coffee table, to stand out from the upholstery pieces. So I'm going to darken, and it just bled a little bit. So you can see that it's going to come forward, and I don't want it to bleed, so I'm just going to go ahead and now do the edge of the chair so that the edge of the chair stands out from the wall. So the value of punch lines. So I think of punch lines wherever something is basically hitting air, right? And then that you can pull it forward. So I'm going to finish this up with the punch lines. I'm going to turn that in for you. And then on Thursday, we'll see how to do that same effect in Photoshop. If you want, come by and see that. If not, this is a great technique to use tracing paper. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I will post the finished product soon. Take care, and I'll see you next class.